Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Toffee TV. It's Monday the 29th of January. A grey, wet, miserable Monday. And Everton are out the FA Cup. We'll get onto that in a bit. Or should we do that? Should we address that first?
Just get into it. I'm not really that arsed, if I'm totally honest.
Yeah. Why's your lack of arseness?
I'm just not arsed, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm just not arsed one bit. We went out and that's it. That's the end of it. We went out to a better team.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
There you go.
Luton are a better team than us. Beating us twice at Goodison Park. They're a better team. Proved it. More energy, more speed, more pace.
It was a terrible game of football. I watched the kids' game yesterday in the mud. That was about 100 times more quality than what I saw on Saturday. I saw two awful football sides kicking a ball about on Saturday. I said to me, Matt's reaction, if that's the Premier League, then the hype that they've
one of them won't be Premier League.
No, it'd be sad to see Ross though in the Championship.
Not sure about that.
Head and shoulders above every player on Saturday. Head and shoulders above every player on the pitch on Saturday, Ross Barkley. But it is what it is. This Everton squad, team, whatever you want to call it, the minute you take a couple of players out that squad, it's decimated. The manager doesn't know what to do in the absence of the core, that's for sure. And we've played Luton twice and conceded 4 set pieces to them. So again, that's an awful statistic as well. But in the grand scheme of things, there's bigger problems at Everton, isn't there? So than an FA Cup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think we should get too down about it. I look at that team. I'll be devastated when we start going out to the FA Cup when I feel like we've got a team that might actually be able to scrap and battle to win it. Do you know what I mean? I look at that team on Saturday. There was just no energy. The ground was flat. I don't blame the crowd, by the way. I absolutely do not blame our fans. But it was like a morgue. And everyone's been beaten down, haven't they? To the point where we're all just, I don't know, we're just in purgatory at the moment. And this want to go on to the next point, which is really what we'll get into the Luton game in the final word in a bit. But I was sat there Saturday and it just in one of those, quiet, you could hear yourself think, couldn't you? Even the players weren't screaming. They couldn't be asked either team, it looked like. But I was sat there just thinking, like, I wonder how differently we'd all feel without the deduction. So we had like 27 points and we were 12th, whatever. I wonder if energy would have been there from everybody. But also, because of the takeover stuff as well, and again, just to reiterate, I'm not one way or the other. I just want a decision. I just want a decision. I just want to know, are these taking over or aren't they? Because we're being left. I just don't understand how we can be left in purgatory like we are. We've got charges hanging over us. We've got to hope Shagger Silk's on his top game. We've got to hope that we get everything in that appeal right to get those points back. But we're in the middle of all that, which is stressful for supporters. It's damaging the football club. It's absolutely damaging the football club. Premier League have done a real hatchet job on this. But they're also, because they've made no decision on that 777 thing as yet, that's making everything 10 times worse, I think, because we all just don't know where we stand. You know what I mean? And again, I keep saying it. I'm not waving the 777 banner and going, these are going to be amazing. I'm also not going, make sure they don't take, because I honestly do not know what will happen. We've been ran in a way that has been ridiculous at best for the since Mashiri took over, with a CEO that was quite clearly, and I think it's blatantly obvious now, was out of a depth. The way the football, you have to look at the finances and the situation the football club's in. Before that, we were ran under Bill Kenwright, and as a small club, they like that, like a smaller club, they like that knife through a gunfight and all that. But we were ran quite prudently, simply because we didn't have any money. We had to be ran prudently. But in terms of changing, in terms of vision and all that, we haven't really had the vision, have we? Probably since John Moore's left. was the last time we had a vision of what we wanted to do and a demand to try to be the best. And right now we're stuck. We need someone to come in with a fresh outlook. And that might be to make some hard-nosed business decisions, I don't know. But we need someone to grab it and go, right, this is where we're going. Even if it's where we're going is mid-table.
Yeah.
We need that, because at the moment, I don't know about you, mate, but even when they scored the winner at the weekend, I was just like, I could see. When they got the corner, the way they got the corner, I just knew they were going to score from it. And I just went, I come home and, you know, just like, that is what it is.
That was the same. That was the same. I was more just more of like, well, we avoided the replay.
Yeah, I know, which is bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Talking to people yesterday, the kids, and they were like, you know what, at least we didn't have to go to a replay. And that's all I've heard so much. That's mad, isn't it? At least, like a replay, you go, we've got another crack at it. But a lot of people are just like, at least we avoided that replay.
That's where we are,
We can't play more.
We didn't get any injuries.
Like, you know.
We didn't get any injuries. That's, you know, that's another thing. It's just a. I think I'm over feeling sort of sad about it. It's just a horrible position to be in. And Saturday I was just final whistle went, and that was the end of it. And I think a lot of people around me, you know, there wasn't loads of booing or calling players out or telling them to get lost if they were coming clapping over. People were just like, they went home. There's an apathy about it. And how can you blame people? How can you blame anybody? There's just a general apathy but when I say, if I was to pick which one of those teams will stay up, I'd say Luton. Because I think Luton have got in terms of like a football club, they're loving every minute of it. They're loving every minute.
They've got the feel.
Their fans, every game's a cup final. Whereas ours is everything about us is depression and on the way down. And, you know, the players look spent, and the manager subs, they baffle me. They absolutely baffle me. I know it's something we'll talk about more in the final word, but they made 5 subs. They made 5 subs, and and people go to. Seen people going, but who would you bring on? You know, we got no one on the bench. Well, put someone on the bench then. Don't have 2 goalkeepers. Put a young kid on the bench that you might like the look at, that did all right against the under-21s, and go, there'll be an opportunity for you. Put Dobbin on. Put Ashley Young on with 10 minutes to go. Played 75 minutes the other night. At the end of the day, I'm not like putting all the blame on the manager. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that there's always a thing of like, you can't do that. It's like, why can't you? They did it. Palace did it. Now, people might go, you want to win the game, it's like, yeah, but Luton probably put 5 players on because they know they've got a game on Tuesday, and they know they can't go in with the same players. They need some freshness. Took Ross Barkley off for that very reason. The manager he's front loaded the season. He's put everything into it to get us the points. And do you know what? He got the points. Fortunately, had 10 points taken off him. But I do think that you've got to at some point address it and go, if these are not playing, if these are not like giving everything because then they're all fatigued, which I've got no issue with. I'm not someone who sits there going, they're on £100,000 a week and they shouldn't be tired. Players get tired, players get fatigued, they run 2 brick walls. I understand that. Give them a break then. Let someone else come on. Let Dobbin come on. Bring on players earlier. I'll never understand that. I'll never understand why you've got 5 subs. I'll never ever get in the modern era how you have 2 goalkeepers on the bench. I'll never understand it. Any team, by the way, any team. I understood it during COVID because that's when it started coming in. You had a match day squad and you just put your match day squad on the bench. I fully understood that. Now I don't get it. Step a young kid up and say to a kid who's been playing in the 21, say, you've been doing all right, I'll put you on the bench and we'll see what happens. Just get hold of someone and just say, there you go. Because this isn't a case of it's all Dyche's fault or it's not any. You've got to pick you've got to look at places we can improve in, and you've just said it yourself there. He likes to play a formation. We've got no decore, so that's fine. But take a bit of pressure off the players then. If it's bring Ashley Young on for the last 10 minutes if you want. At least for Patterson and go, well, we're going to give him the last 10 minutes because he played 75, but it's 10 minutes in an FA Cup game. Why wouldn't you do that? You want him to be fit. Dobbin, go and have an opportunity. You brought him on the other week and he played as like the number 10. Like in the last 10, 15 minutes.
Did, yeah.
I don't get that at all. I just don't get that. Say to a young lad, like, here's your chance. Sean McAllister scored under the knife in the 21s. Now, even if he never makes it, say to him, this is your reward for what you did in the under 21, scoring a goal or whatever. This is your opportunity. And you know what? That might be the spark that the kid needs to go. And sorry, giving Ashley Young 10 minutes isn't rushing him back. He played 75 minutes for the under 21s the other night. Giving him 10 minutes and he's on the bench. What's he on the bench for then? Give him 10 minutes at the end of the game. I don't understand that. I don't understand. And I know Sean Dyche isn't that, oh, whoa me, I haven't got, oh, look, he isn't one of those fellas, so fair play to him. He's not one of them. But if you want your team to go on Tuesday and play well, give some of them like a little bit of a break. Take Harrison off. You know, put Ashley Young on.
McNeil should have been off after about 5 minutes.
That's what I'm saying.
It's terrible.
McNeil, put Harrison on the side, whatever it is. I don't understand this thing with the subs. I'll never understand it in a game like that.
Phil says we don't have the squad to make 5 subs.
But why? No, that's nonsense.
Of course, it's nonsense.
What you've been told.
They're all getting paid.
That's what you've been told. You've been brainwashed into that. We have got 5 subs. We had Dobbin, we had Ashley Young, and we could have a kid on the bench instead of a goalkeeper. We do have 5 subs. Look at Luton's 5 subs and tell me, like, you know, you'd have any of them on the pitch. You know, it's like we've been brainwashed into thinking this. This whole once you fall into the whole narrative of it's a small squad and we've only got I get under, then use them all in because they're all there.
What I don't get is every club brings subs on. Like every club. Now, a lot of people don't look at every single one of their play. Like, they brought 5 subs on at the weekend. Our fans haven't looked at all of those 5 subs and gone, they're all top players. You can bring them on. Just nonsense. Palace in the other week played that Franca. It's hardly played. Hodgson gave him a game, brought him on at Goodison. If we're not fully going after the cup, which it felt like we weren't, and the manager's kind of press conferences, you know what the priority is, and I'm not having a go at Sean Dyche for that, not at all, because that is,
he said it himself.
All of our priority, and it's crap. And someone said in the comments before, it's like a small time mentality at the moment. We need to just make sure we stay. You're absolutely right, but that's what we've been plunged into by Mashiri and by Denise Barrett-Baxendale and by Bill Kenwright when he was there and other members, Grant Ingles, all of that, Usman, they've plunged us into this by total mismanagement of the football club over the last whatever years. But if that's the priority, then we've got a huge Premier League game tomorrow. So we'd have been better off just going, right, we're doing an hour with that team, and after an hour, we're bringing on Sean McAllister and bringing on Jensen Metcalf and bringing on Lewis Dobbin, Yusuf Chimmy. The fans will get behind those kids. If we get beat, we get beat. But what we do and what we've seen is us sitting on our hands, not fully going after teams, trying the same thing with the same players and losing anyway. Haven't we? We're out anyway. Would you?
They sub-scored.
Yeah, if you
needed a lad.
He shouldn't even be on a football pitch. He looks like he goes straight to Greg's for his lunch. But if you're there watching a game of footy, I wouldn't have been. If he'd have put the thing up and gone, Jensen Metcalf coming on for that, I'd have been like, go ahead, lad. We've got 5 midfield players at the football club who the manager, and I'd probably argue with that and say it's 4.5 really, because in no world did he see Andre Gomez as a real viable option. I don't think anyway. So, but at the moment, 3 of those midfield players are out.
I just don't get it at
So,
all.
flogging James Garner and Amadou Onana. Onana's holding his hamstring near the end of the game, looking over to the bench, and the manager's probably like, you can't come on. And he's probably right at that stage. If you're not going to do it, you may as well leave him on. And he said himself, Amma's got a bit of a knock. We'll see how it... So, that's the bit for me that I just look and think...
You've got Dobbin, you've got Young,
you've got to try and make.
You've got Hunt on the bench there. You doesn't need to have 2 goalkeepers.
Yeah,
Mackenzie
on the bench. Hunt Jensen wasn't on the bench, but Mackenzie Hunt.
But that's what I'm saying. He doesn't need to have 2 centre backs, 2 goalkeepers on the bench. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. You've got a game tomorrow, which is a hugely important game. We know we're not adding to the squad. We haven't got any money. So surely that would have been a perfect time to step someone up from the bench and go, right, it's 10 minutes at the end of the game.
We've played.
Get a feel for it.
We've played our reserve keeper in every game in the cup.
He's done really well.
So if you're prepared to take out your number one and the England goalkeeper, then why aren't you prepared to give someone else a little
Liverpool brought
pop?
on at 0-0 against Arsenal in the third round, 2 kids. One of them's done brilliantly, and now they're starting right back. Now, he's probably better than all our resis, and that's fine. That's because the club is rotten to the core from top to bottom. But, like, if you give a kid an opportunity, you never know. You never know. And that was a good opportunity to just say to someone, it's 10 minutes. I just don't get that at all, and I'll never get it.
No.
For me, he's got 2 massive Achilles heels in terms of like with Dyche, I understand fits the sort of with everything that's going on, but he can't replace the core, and the subs I just think are baffling. I'll never get the subs. No, people could explain it as much as they want. They can say, we haven't got the players, we haven't got this, or we haven't got that. We've got an under 21s team, right? Who you could step a couple up and say, You're the best player in our under 21s, so I'm going to stick you on the bench in an FA Cup game instead of a goalie, because you need 2 goalies on a bench, don't you?
Could have put it.
Not a chance. Can anyone ever convince me that wouldn't be the right thing to do? Because that's how football works. You step kids up when you haven't got to. I've been watching Everton for nearly 40 years. I've seen it numerous times. I remember under Walter Smith, when we didn't have any players, we give Michael Ball a go. Oh, guess what? Michael Ball ends up being a starter. Tony Hibbert. We needed a right back.
Difficult, isn't it? But you've got to sink or swim. But there's other... I mean, let's be honest. Why wasn't Danjuma playing? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm one who thinks Danjuma's done nothing. But all I'm trying to say is...
Freshen it up.
Just help yourself. If you've got lads like Harrison and McNeil who we're relying on, well, then Saturday should have been Dobbin and Danjuma then. On either wing or one. Yeah. Take Harrison or McNeil out, put one of them in, and then flip it. Then what you can do in the second half is take Danjuma off and put Dobbin on, and take Harrison off and put McNeil on, or vice versa. And it keeps it nice and fresh. I did say the players who got the chance of not really taking it. Beto was poor on Saturday, so was Dominic. I don't know what Sean Dyche was talking about when he said Dom played well. He watches a different game sometimes, I think. Nathan Patterson's not. He's, again, caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. He's not doing what he was bought for, and therefore it's affecting the other side of his game. So those players have got to take the chance. João Virginia's done really well when he's coming. But we're going to have to use some of these players. You can't just go, well, they're not good enough, though, because every other team brings players on. So do you know every other player who plays for every team? I don't think so.
The thing about it is, though, to me, it's not even a case of, I'm not saying bring this player on to help us win the game or whatever. What I'm saying is help the team, help the squad.
And just give the fans a little bit, he can feel not stupid, the manager. He's had to cope with a terrible hand since he come in. Yeah. But then Frank Lampard had to, and people that give Lampard no time, that's fine. But Lampard had the same shit. He didn't have a centre forward. Didn't have any money, really. The same thing. This has been going on. Benitez, whether we like them or not, he got £1.5 million in the first window, and then he lost the Charleston and Dom. So it's been going on for a few years because the squad has been decimated because of the way we ran. But you've got to just use what you've got and try to freshen it up for the fans. The fans, I just sit there and think, how stupid are we all? We just keep coming back, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And that's the thing why I'm saying about the takeover. At least if we know it's getting binned,
move on to the next
then
thing.
You move on and go, right, well, what's next? How do we make sure our club stays afloat? Now, the understanding is if 777 have been, Farhad Managerial step back up and keep funding it until someone else comes in. Fine. That's the way it is. It's not going to improve anything now, is it? We know that. And the other side of it is we've got to just keep going, haven't we? The fans will always be there. We know that. Because we're just mad. But we're going to have to hope that we do start getting these points back. And obviously there was a letter on Friday that the DCMS MPs had put in to the Premier League. They wanted answers from Richard Masters, really.
Big Dicky. Little Dicky.
Little Dicky Masters. They obviously, when Andy Burnham had asked questions and when the DCMS had asked them questions, they went to their client journalists and said, "Oh, it's just showboating from the MPs." I mean, which is an incredibly arrogant thing to feed your journalists who were on the hook, it seems. And the Premier League have tried to pass it off as politicians just showboating, getting involved. But when you actually break it down, what the letter's actually asking for, it is quite a big thing what the politicians are asking for here. This is the question in the Premier League in a way that's never been questioned before.
Yeah,
I don't think.
No, I think it's a disgrace anyway that it isn't transparent, because it's supposed to be an independent commission, so therefore it should be transparent.
Yeah.
What they're asking for should be already
just standard,
out
maybe.
there.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's, and again, it sort of shows that where we are, with it being like this kind of closed shop, the Premier League not wanting the eyes on it. I don't understand that. I don't understand why clubs would sign up to that. It's mad. It's mad that they would. But I think a lot of them probably thought he signed up to something that would never be used. But more fool them. And it's probably why they will restructure it, because now that it is being used, they're looking at it thinking, we don't want this now if it's going to be used. Especially when you look at the transfer window, it's
dead, isn't it, at the moment?
Dead. Nothing's happening. A few deals here or there.
People are terrified.
Most teams are just saying, no, we haven't got any money.
Eddie Howe this morning saying there's absolutely zero chance Newcastle will bring anybody in without someone going out. Yeah. He went, that's it. There's your facts for you. And Sky don't want that. No. The Premier League don't really want that, do they? Everton are in exactly the same boat. There's nobody coming in unless somebody goes out the door. No, and that's the way it is. There's a lot of clubs running scared like that, aren't they? Because there's just, because of these archaic rules, which they haven't even been adjusted for inflation. So they've got themselves in a muddle, which isn't helping anybody. It's not helping themselves if they're trying to sell this product. It's not. It's crap, the product, let's be honest. It's hype. And all that's happened since Dicky Masters decided to get involved with this and try to flex muscles is he's damaged the Premier League brand. And like I said, if that's two of the best league in the world, those two teams, what I watched on Saturday, then God help the rest of the world, because it must be abysmal, the rest of the football everywhere else, because they were two awful sides on Saturday playing awful football. I'm hoping it was just one of them days where priorities were very low from both managers. Players a little bit couldn't be asked. I'm hoping that's what it was, because if that is the best both teams can perform, they're both in massive trouble. Again, though, just back to this, because I think Everton need to focus on this appeal now, because without it, we wouldn't even be involved in any sort of relegation talk, I don't think. But we just wouldn't be, we would be 10, 11 points clear of Luton. Seems like Forest and Brentford are in will be in more difficulty than Everton. Going backwards, Palace, another team going backwards. But right now we are, because of what's happened here. But this is one of the highest officers in the land, the DCMS Select Committee, and it's questioning how the Premier League come up with a 10-point sanction for Everton. The transparency of it, because where was it? It wasn't a thing. It wasn't. Don't forget, the Premier League board had a meeting on the 10th of August to try and come up with this policy, but it was specifically only for Everton. This, which again smacks of it should be illegal. You can't just decide when you're thinking, I want to do someone, we'll come up with this policy now. But you can. That's the problem. They can. In the middle of a thing. No, but they can because of the way. But no one. Don't forget, all the teams didn't vote for this. No, I know, but they can because of just the way the Premier League is structured. They decided it was going to be a closed shop. They decided you couldn't appeal to any higher any higher court, which meant that
because let's be honest, if Everton had a 10-point deduction, it wouldn't be in the league now if it could go outside the Premier League, because Premier League couldn't control when it would be heard. So therefore, if it ended up going to the highest court in Europe,
then it wouldn't be.
Then it would just play as normal, because it could take ages. Is it the CAS? It would take for ages, so we wouldn't have it. But that Premier League specified that you'd only appeal within the Premier League, so therefore they kept it as a closed shop. And people, I don't know why people agreed to that, because straight away you're limiting your options, and you have got control of the whole thing. You aren't making it like a thing where people can come in from the outside and try and challenge it. And that's where I suppose that's where these people are looking at it, going, well, if you're going to do that, we want to see everything.
Well, they've asked for the full version of the witness statement. They've asked for the minutes of the Premier League meeting on the 10th of August, when they created that sanctioning policy against Everton. And obviously, if they get either of those things, it's likely to embarrass the Premier League and show that there was a lack of due process in making that decision, because they come up with it. It was nonsense what they come up with. You know, and the Athletic have reported this, haven't they? The Premier League come up with this claim that it was just made. It's just simply for Everton.
Well, the problem is that, and this is always the problem when these things happen. And I know we've talked about this to death, but teams don't care unless it happens to them. Yeah. And what the other teams have suggested is, well, we just change the rule. We make the rule change, instead of looking into it and going, this is a disgrace, blah blah blah. They're just going to go, well, we'll just rip it up then. And instead of saying, well, it should be ripped up from the start, and then Everton should be prosecuted maybe under the new version, they're going, well, the Everton one will stand, the Forest one will stand, and then we'll do a new version. And that's our way of dealing with this.
But don't forget, though,
and that's just wrong.
And journalists have kind of hinted at this, that actual framework that we've been done for this season won't be used against us or Nottingham Forest in the future. So how can you have it? Oh, we're just using this for one season. Yeah. You can't. That's totally and utter.
But you are literally playing by their rules, though. So that's the problem, isn't it? You are playing by their rules, and I don't know whether this was to see. There's two ways to look at it, isn't it? There's two ways. If you look at it like and say the Premier League could turn around, being devil's advocate, and say, well, if you play by the bigger rules, then City got off with it in Europe because they tied the legal stuff up.
That's why it is, though, isn't it?
No, I know, but then is that fair? I'm just saying.
But this isn't fair, is it?
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. They're saying, well, they tied it up that much, and it is actually a legal thing. They've got the best lawyers.
Yeah.
You know, you watch the post office thing.
No.
It's not about whether you're. It's not about whether you're guilty or you're innocent. It's whether you've got the lawyers to fight, and fight. If you've got the money, you know. I was watching that going, how could the legal expense have been £46 million? How? So Manchester City took it to the highest thing, and UEFA are like, no, they're still guilty, and they're like, well, they're not, because they got off. And that's what the Premier League can say around, that's what we were trying to stop, and that's why we've done it our way. But you've still got to have transparency. You've got to tell people. Now the transparency, as this come too late for Everton, who knows? Well, they've still got an appeal. Everton have brought in a top class guy to deal with it now, and maybe that's what they should have done from the start. But you know, if Everton could get some points back, if Everton could have the first one, I think Everton might look at it and go, well, we want the first one almost dismissed, because we find the whole procedure unsafe.
That's what he's going
and,
for.
And we've got these people actually backing us up now. And it would be very interesting to see. Not only would I love to get the points back, because I think we deserve the points back. I don't give a monkey's what anyone says.
And we need them.
But I'd love to see the reaction of people if we got them back, as in, like, would people start backing us then? Like the media going, oh, well, he fought their corner and they went after it, and this is a win for football and all that crap. Because at the moment, there's very few of them backing us, and a lot of them are.
Well, because they're getting fed, aren't they?
You don't bite the hand that feeds you.
We said the other day, didn't we, that they've been spun a yarn by the Premier League that the reason Everton failed the PSR was because they just bought players. And yet, all the facts are out there now that that's like totally not the case. We've played by their rules in terms of recruiting and selling. So much so we've decimated the squad, literally decimated the squad to try and appease them. But everyone else can play. Well, not everyone else, sorry. The teams at the top can play by different rules because they just earn so much money. Yeah. They're boosted by getting put on the telly all the time. Keeps the coffers ticking over so they can spend more money and creating a huge divide. You know, that, like you say, the thing of it's showboating and they've let national journalists run with that is embarrassing. They are aggressively briefing national journalists, and that's what's terrifying about the whole thing, because they know. I mean, look at the thing over the weekend. Now, I know Jurgen Klopp leaving was huge news, whatever. This is a huge thing. This just man leaves job. Yeah. That's that. This is a huge thing that the Premier League have been questioned by one of the highest committees in the land, and it was nowhere really. Probably buried on page 4 or something.
Sadly, it happened on the same day as the one for the post office as well.
Yeah. So this is what's, you know, why is that more newsworthy than something that it's crazy? What are they scared of? Why won't they just give the answers to the questions? Where's the chair in all of this? Yeah, little Dickie Masters is bouncing around as the CEO, getting flack, and correctly so. But where's the chair in all this? Isn't their response as a chair of the Premier League board to go, hang on a sec, a chair. You know what I mean? They have to surely step up and go, listen, we are taking crazy heat here. This is embarrassing the whole product. It's embarrassing the whole integrity of the league. There's asterisks. There's going to be more. We've cocked this up. Now, the Premier League, if the independent commission turn around and go, yeah, we're not prepared to accept why Everton have been done, and then 10 points, they've got them back. The Premier League can come out and say, well, we just recommended that it was 10 points. The independent commission make the decision, and they've decided. I mean, I've got the. I thought you'd turn the plug on as well. The heat off. So yeah, I mean, that could happen where Everton got those points back, and you're right. It would be very, very interesting from that perspective. Then what people's takes on it would be, because ultimately it's a shambles what they've done. The whole framework's a shambles. Oh, yeah. It's a shambles. Oh, and then you might get done again. And that's pathetic as well. It needs a set of rules where you can have year-on-year reporting, maybe, if that's the way to do it. You cannot be punishing. Like, say Forest get done, and then you go, well, they're going to get done next year as well because they still spent that, and that year's still included in how we look at it. Then that's pathetic. I'm sorry. That is absolutely pathetic. If you're spending this and then all of a sudden you're showing signs of reducing those costs, that should be going, right, okay. You've done it there, you've been punished, whatever it is, fine, transfer ban, squad reduction, whatever you go for, not points deduction, it's nonsense. But if you're showing signs that you are trying to get your house in order, that should be seen as like a positive to go, right, okay, we're going to keep watching over your shoulder because you have to make it back towards...
But that's the problem, isn't it? The minute you say, oh, you're going to it, like you said this loads of time, the minute you go to a commission, then it's black and white that you've broken the rule. And that's the problem, is that it's not, for this one, for the second one, it should have been just a case of, we are working with the football club, we are working with the Premier League, we've improved. It should come under there should be a trigger of like what you've come under to keep you out of
course,
getting done again. But it doesn't. It's, you hand your books in, if they go over a certain number, it triggers it again. That's nonsense.
Yeah,
that's absolutely nonsense. You're being automatically just punished straight away. You could go. I've said this before loads of times. It's like when you used to go for drawn and get these. You were the fine, and you're like, well. How good's that if I've got no money? Or it's like fining homeless people for living on the street. That works, doesn't it? That's really going to help, isn't it? It's like you got to work with the clubs and manage it. It's just ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. And as you mentioned earlier, Everton not having any owners, Everton not having any board, Everton not having a chairman, Everton not having a real CEO. Everton not really having a voice at the moment isn't helping things either. We are rudderless. We are rudderless while everybody else is having cheap shots at us. We're completely rudderless. We've got nobody out there fighting for us. Everyone can have cheap shots at us, and we're just like, oh, we can't say nothing. I find that just as frustrating as anything. And I wish there was some kind of arbitrary cut-off point for a takeover.
There's got to be, because there just simply has to be. You can't, because even that pet looks like it's being vindictive now. Do you know what I mean? And what I'm saying is, right, okay, well, if you've really got genuine concerns that these aren't the right people for Everton, bin it and go, sorry, we can't give you, we can't pass you for this takeover because these concerns are there and they are a big red flag and we're trying to protect Everton. I'm really sorry, that's the way it is. They've got no issue in cobbling together a bleeding points deduction. To have a meeting and go, yeah, we're doing this. We're never going to do it again, but we're doing it now because we want to flex our muscles to head off an independent regulator. But they're going all, oh, we'll give you a chance. If they're not, you're not satisfied with someone's answers. Said this last week and probably said it the week before and the week before. Give them a date and go, if you don't have these answers for us by 5 o'clock on Friday this week, we will give you an answer on Monday, 5 o'clock. Yeah. That is it.
Or why don't 777 take legal action against the Premier League and say, we've provided you with all the documents.
Really have,
we want an independent process on this because we've already been accepted by these other people to say we've got any money. And again, I'm not on 777's side. I'm just looking.
No, it's just a question.
I'm just looking at the outside. I'm on the club side, of course. I'm on the club side. Why? Isn't there at some point surely something's got to give you, and it's surely 777 go, we've give you all the documents. What can we get? What can we give you anymore? You're either satisfied or you're not. What more can we give you? And then surely that, because again, like, this is the Premier League's ball.
That's what I mean.
Why isn't there again? You want independence things. Why isn't there an independent thing going? These have satisfied everything now to come in and take over.
They're kicking us from every angle. That's how it feels to me. It just feels like, listen, the 10 points is horrible and we're having to live the reality of that. And every game, don't care what anyone says, every game's been altered as a result of that 10 points.
We said this when it happened.
The feeling in games has been altered because of those 10 points. Do you know what I mean? It really has. If we'd have got a point against Villa who could have gone top, you'd go. And I'm not saying everyone was, no one was really kicking off, of course they weren't, but you'd go, all right, Sam, we keep it going.
There's no feel-good factor.
Everybody's just nothing. Because we need wins.
Everyone's looking at the situation.
But if we had 27 points, which is
that's
what we should
insane.
have, we'd all be going, you know what,
we said this. All right. Well, even on Saturday, you would look at the situation in a lot more relaxed manner. You go, goes to the FA Cup. Sam, let's have a little go at this. Brilliant. But you're not. You're just going, who cares? It's a distraction. So I felt when we played Crystal Palace, the first game, I was like, I don't care. Play Michael Keane, play Ben Godfrey, I don't care. I honestly don't care. And people are like, oh, that's defeatist. I couldn't care less. Everton are literally fighting for survival.
It is bigger.
Honestly,
than just
don't
games.
care about that at the moment.
I just think if we could, like, forget about the cup's gone now, so just forget about it. We got City, and they battered us anyway. Like, don't care what anyone says, they beat us anyway. Because that team, when you watch that team at the weekend, that team wasn't capable of winning an FA Cup. So it's almost irrelevant. We got 2 home games out of it and made some money out of it. That's the way I look at it right now, which is pathetic, but that's where we are just right now. For me, this takeover thing has to be sorted. This points thing has to be sorted. It's got to be. Yeah. But sadly, the people in charge of both of those things are the same person. So they're screwing us. They've altered the game, like I said. They've altered the conditions of all the matches we've played with the 10 points. They've totally changed that now. And they're doing it right now. We've got a transfer window where, who knows, right? I'm not saying it would have made any difference, by the way. But who knows, had 777 been given, you can take over, they might have been able to go, we've got some money there for down payment to get this player and this player in for the rest of the season as a loan, because it might be, I don't know the ins and I'm just saying, who knows, that might have been the case. And here we are. where the Premier League just keep putting that on the bottom of the pile and going, well, we'll deal with it whenever. Because they're just holding our fate in their hands. And it's creating the situation we had on Saturday, Goodison, where the place is flat for an FA Cup tie. It was flat. It was quiet. It was quiet. And I don't blame anybody, because how can you keep getting up for the same fight? It's not like we play great football. It's not like we've got half a dozen players who the kids want the names on the back because they're great to watch. It's not like we are comfortable in mid-table and you're going, we're sound, this is a great opportunity. We're safe in the league. Couple more wins, we're sound. Can we now go far in the cup? We've all been beaten, so we're all in there going, we want to win, and we'll, when we scored, it was loud and all that, and then it died away because we weren't able to pile of pressure on. And as well as that, you've got the worry, got Fulham away, and then Spurs at home, and then City away. Everton could quite easily lose the next three, quite easily. All three of them teams are better than us. So all three could quite easily beat us. City, you'd imagine, would win. Spurs, yeah, at home. We've done well against Villa. We might be able to get off for it, but we've got no decore, so that's a massive issue for the manager. Unless Ivory Coast win today and Senegal go out, and we might have a Drisser back in the squad at the weekend. And sadly, it's a big thing, what we need.
Yeah.
And Fulham keep beating us whenever we play them. So it's going to be a tough game as well. So you're looking for little bits to cling on to. If the takeover got approved, I know there's a lot of people who are fearful of 777, but right now, what's the alternate? Doesn't seem to be one, does there? People have mentioned administration. I don't know if we go into administration, we're relegated, aren't we? Because 9 points will be taken off us. We're down, so we'd all have to get used to that pretty quickly. And that's Onana, Pickford, Branthwaite, probably Calvert-Lewin, all gone in the summer, and maybe a few others. We'd have to almost start again. So that can't really be a thing that anyone would be looking forward to. And that's where we are. So we've got to try and muddle through. But the Premier League have to be put under pressure to make this decision as well. If they really look at it and go, it's not the right thing for Everton, bin it. Just cut it off at the knees and go, it's done. We are not. We don't feel comfortable in saying that you are able to take over Everton Football Club. You don't have the whatever it is. If they can't come up with that answer right now, then approve it. You can't leave something that was told roughly around 12 weeks, which put it the early part of December, and we are at the end of January, and it's not even like they said you'll have a decision by. It's going to be at least the middle of February, I'd imagine. So why? Why is it the middle of February? And that can't be allowed to just carry on, because we are drifting into very, very choppy waters with no captain, with no, at least if 777 took over, at least he'd come in and you'd have a new CEO in, you'd have a new board straight away, you'd have a new plan. They'd try to steer the club in the right direction. Again, I don't know whether they're good, bad, indifferent. I don't know. And none of us will know. We can have our thoughts and fears. We can also have blind optimism on the other side. Yeah. Who knows? But what I do know is what we're doing right now is only damaging the club every single day. It's getting worse every day because we do not have direction at a time when we need direction. So something needs to happen. I don't know how we put pressure on the Premier League for that decision. I don't know. But like I said, if we are probably something like someone would be able to do I'm sure someone will be able to tell me the exact amount of weeks. But if we're at like 19 weeks or something, if you can't decide in 18 or 19 weeks whether someone is fit, get rid of it. Bin
it's
it,
not a transparent thing, is it? What's going on? Why hasn't it been sorted? What are they waiting for? It's not a transparent process. It should be transparent.
Yeah.
It's talking about a football club. Talking about one of the biggest football clubs in England. One of the biggest histories, and no one has any knowledge of what's going on. It's an absolute disgrace.
And if people are like waiting in the background, then let it slip to someone, for God's sake.
I'll be honest, and I was thinking about this over the weekend. Right, if I was sitting in the background, I wouldn't buy Everton right now. I'd wait till he went into administration.
Would you?
Why would you buy Everton right now? You could wait and get Everton for... Because look at the situation,
To be honest, mate, you could probably, if you like John Blaine said this, you could do it just before administration, like FGS.
But
what do they call
all the
FSG?
debts would be gone though.
No, I know.
What difference would it make?
Championship, though, aren't you?
But what if you start in the Championship anyway? What if you could get a situation where you go into administration and you've got no worries about debt? You've got a brand new stadium and you can pump money into a football club. Like,
no, I know.
I don't even know what. Honestly, if you think about it logically, you'd wait till Everton had gone into administration and then buy the club. Because that's the precipice Everton find themselves on.
No, they are at the moment.
But I can't believe there's not. I just can't believe there's people not actually asking the question to the Premier League. Why isn't anyone asking a direct question of where is this? Or someone asking 777, what is going on? Show us what you've provided, and then ask the Premier League the same question.
Yeah.
It should be transparent. It should be. We're not. No one's asking for to see that, but it's ridiculous that this is where we are right now. Our football club is just a. It's just not. The whole thing's just nonsense.
See, I feel sorry for some people at the club though, because they've just been left with this. It's getting kicked left, right, and centre, and they're having to try and deal with it. But no one will be giving them the full data. I know. I imagine 777 are advising what they'd like to come out of the club, but no one really who is in there can give them carte blanche to go after people, because there's no one to take who's going to take the can if it comes back. Do you know what I mean? And how can you direct the strategy when you don't know who's your bleeding owner?
The other side of it is, and again, people will probably tell me you can't do this, but these people are turning up at our ground, watching our games, pumping money into our football club. Why can't they come out and do an interview? Why can't they come out and speak on it about what they... Not where it is, because that might be a legal process, but what their ambitions are and what their plans are for the football club, and maybe try and move it on a little bit. I don't understand this. It's always, you can't do this, you can't do. Why can't you do it? People love telling you what you can't do. They love it. They absolutely love. They can't do that. You can't do that. Why? Why can't you do it? Why can't someone just get in front of a camera and go, "This is what I hope to do"? What difference does it make?
Others have done it. Sheikh Yassin was coming out with all the stuff he was going to do if he bought United.
What difference does it make? There's a process. Well, why? Why is there a process? Because there's been a process. People break processes.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, 777, if they are thinking, they do need to start coming out now and addressing some of this stuff of what the plans are, what they want to do. Because it makes headlines, doesn't it? And then it flips it back onto the Premier League.
We're in a situation
you
where
make a decision, yes or no.
We're 3 days away from the transfer market shutting. Who knows if 777 had taken off the club, whether would have been a little bit of leeway.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Or they could have facilitated one of our players going out to another club, and then someone coming in because they're part of the network. And that's been taken away from us because either someone doesn't like the look of a form or they haven't given a form. This is our football club. This is the future of our football club. What we're talking about here.
It's bigger, isn't it?
And we're talking, no, they can't do that. No, they can't do that. I hate that word. No, I hate that word. You can't. I hate it. Oh, you can't do that. Why? Why can't you do that? Oh, doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what it is. Whether it's you're asking for an interview or you want someone to speak on behalf of the club or you want something. Oh, you can't do that. Why? Oh, football clubs don't do that. Why? I hate that. Because someone will do it. And once someone does it, it breaks the mould.
I think you've got to, haven't you? You've got to. And even all of this thing of the stadium then goes if they go into it. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's getting built. The stadium, nothing to do with it. Everton would be taken over straight away. But that, I mean, like we've said before, there's no evidence Everton will go into administration, by the way, because if you're Farhad Moshiri, if Everton go into administration, you basically lose all your money. It's far better to keep funding it and get a different sale. Now, if there's people out there that want to genuinely buy Everton, and people are trying to say that there are, then Farhad Moshiri goes to them and sells it. And then people take over and he gets his money. If it went into administration, everything starts at zero. The people who've loaned money off get a fraction of it. It's the worst case scenario for Moshiri himself. He gets nothing, basically.
No one wants that. No one wants to be in that position. No one wants even to be tainted with administration.
Of course, Everton,
what we need and what we want is a situation where we start fighting back from the bottom. That we have powerful people who own the club that can go to the people we owe money to and negotiate with them, negotiate longer term deals to pay them back, and actually almost hang the threat of administration over them and go, do you know, if we don't get this sorted, we will go out of business and you'll get nothing. I'm sure people who are a lot cleverer than I am, the likes of John Blaine, and people will say, yeah, it can be done that. I'm
John
sure that
Blaine's
can be
in the comments.
No, I know, I've seen him in the comments. But I'm sure there's people out there who go, actually having the threat of administration isn't a bad thing to renegotiate deals. But you need someone who's got the power, the ability to do that. And I don't know whether 777 have got that ability. What I would say about 777, I don't particularly like the look of them. But what I would say is, for someone who's got such a terrible track record, they seem to have a lot of money, or they seem to have a lot of businesses. So they've obviously got some smarts. Not that I necessarily want them running my football
Big
club.
Josh is at Fulham tomorrow night as well.
But the point being is that you want some smarts in there, and at the moment there's just nothing going on, and I think that whole process needs speeding up.
John Blaine says the Premier League, of course, tremendous amounts of FUD, fear, uncertainty and doubt around Everton, and that's damaging to all the people associated. Damages the brand, yeah. And John says, where is he? John Van says Moshiri would not allow Everton to go into administration. However, we will likely end up in a limbo position until someone buys.
And we might end up in a position where we have to sell the stadium.
Moshiri's the biggest loser financially of Everton going into administration.
Of course he is.
And all lenders are catching cold too. Well, this is what John Blaine, when we do business with Blaine stuff, has often talked about selling some of the stadium to raise. Everton could still control it, still be the thing, but people would. John says and thinks that people would buy it, would buy, say, 45% of the stadium, and Everton would own 50%. So it would always be Everton's, but you'd create a big amount of capital. Then obviously you'd have to pay some dividends out. But if that's worked in and is a better way to do stuff, that's fair play, isn't it? At the end of the day, we just have to start creating a viable business for the football club. So, John Vance says the cynic in me says 777 will be approved on Wednesday night after deadline. Well, it's Thursday it is, John. It's Thursday night. Yeah, for some reason the Premier League have put it to Thursday the 1st of February now. I thought, there must be 8 games or something on Wednesday night, so they've done it. There's 3. So there you go. It's now Thursday at 11, but I get your point.
So Friday off.
That's what it is. They love a good Friday off.
Long weekend for them.
Yeah, they love it. They love it. David Eeyore says administration would be a disaster. We have to avoid at all costs. But what if the costs outweigh going into administration? Cruel Hoaxer says no point having the stadium if we sell half because we built it to make more money. Yeah, but you've got to look at how that looks overall, haven't you? If Everton sold the stadium I'm just making this up, but say Everton got 300 million for the stadium, right? And you equated that to 10 million over 30 years or whatever it may be. And then you paid a dividend out. Say the stadium made 15 million a year and you had to pay 5 million dividend. Again, I'm just making that up. Yeah. Everton would look at getting that big slug of money in right now and being able to get the club into a different direction. Yeah, you'd always have that payment, but we're always going to have some kind of payment anyway.
It depends how it works. I'm not saying we should.
It
depends how it works. Manchester City don't own their stadium. West Ham don't own their stadium. And they... Goodison Park is not fit for purpose. When I was there on Saturday, I was just like, what is the point? Honestly, to me, all these people with these memories and gonna cry. I was sitting there going, yeah, it's great.
It will be emotional the last game, of course it will, because you're not going. But there's also got to be a thing if the club needs to move forward as well. So let's see. For Premier members, John will be live on the live at 5 tonight, so we'll be discussing that more. Just a couple of questions. Tom says our style of play is atrocious, by the way, regardless whether people like Dyche or not. Surely just launching balls from back to front can't be acceptable. Even teams as far down the league as League Two don't play like that anymore. We have good ball players in midfield. We just bypass them by hoofing it up. It is a bit mad. It is a little bit mad. The manager seemed to hint at the players just did it because they had two big lads up front.
Of course they did.
But I don't know. I mean, I watch other teams pass it around. I was watching Newport passing it around last night and thinking, why don't we do that? You're almost saying our players are terrible and our players terrible. I've seen Luton at the weekend with, there wasn't many of their players I would take if you went, give me them players out of Luton. Yeah, they sort of knew what they were doing. The physical, the quick, they get around the pitch. How do we keep getting our recruitment so wrong? Really? Garrett says on Saturday I managed to be sat in the lower Bullens with an unobstructed view. I wish I was sat right behind a massive post. Saturday for Mark, it got me to the conclusion with a championship squad, championship manager, non-league owner and Premier League fans. Hitting hope football, no wonder we don't score. AD says, glad someone else said it. Ross was the best player on the park for me also on Saturday. Yeah, he was just he was the only one who got his foot on the ball and picked his head up and switched the play and could travel with the ball. Everyone else was just, yeah, his free kick was dreadful when he put it into the park end. But
shooting was dreadful.
But then we had, but at least he was having shots with his left foot. That was firing over. Myers says, afternoon, fellas. Once Branthwaite goes, inevitably, would you take a punt on Daniel Ballard? Seems a lot of potential. Only 8 good things from Sunderland. Depends how much he is, isn't it? Depends how much he is. Steve Kelly says, all right, lads, hope you're both well. The issue for me about Saturday is the confidence Luton will take from it going into the league. They've bullied us twice now at Goodison, and as much as Dan Juma hasn't impressed me, he should have started on Saturday or even come on at half-time. It was pure stubbornness from Dyche. Bill says we're desperate for some pace and cover. If we can move Godfrey and Holgate on, can you see a few loans? We're so thin on the ground. I know finances are tight, but we literally have 2 midfielders and a winger in Dan Juma he won't use. No one will come in unless they get people out. That's just a fact, isn't it? Garrett says finally decides to play 2 big lads up top, then doesn't feed them with crosses. Would like to see a stat on Saturday how many we crossed. It was a bit weird.
It was mad, wasn't it? 2 big lads and we didn't. Why did McNeil keep on coming inside and then Garner go on the outside? It was just like McNeil should have just stayed wide as he possibly could, got chalk on his boots and just threw crosses in all day. Yeah. I think they got something like 5 crosses in between them, something like that. It's nuts.
Spruce says, took my 6-year-old lad to his first match on Saturday. He was so excited before the match, but 10 minutes in, even he could see how poor the match was. Shocking football. Barbara says, as a season ticket holder living in London, when it comes to all games when the trains let me, I had the double whammy on Saturday. I arrived at Lime Street to discover that Avanti had cancelled all trains back except the 6:43 for booked seat holders only. And my only option would be 5:33, stop and train to Crewe and wait for a connection, and then to suffer such a terrible performance. First time ever, I had to question why I do it. Yeah. Adam says, the subs thing's starting to wind me up now. You're playing an FA Cup side with a depleted squad and a big game coming up on Tuesday. If there was ever a time to give a couple of squad players a run out, it was Saturday. I get he likes a tight-knit group and loves having players play till they're on the knees, but it's starting to cost us.
They are on the knees. That's the point.
Yeah, it is all a little bit mad, isn't it? Jonathan says, if we don't get any points back and don't sign anyone in the window, we'll struggle to survive. Bill says Dyche won't even rotate with an experienced pro like Dan Juma, so he isn't giving any kids a go. I agree, he's flogged the same 12 to 13 players. Yeah. Where are we? Bill says, agree, the Premier League keeping the club in limbo and purgatory. They are. Martin says, so Luton fans, players and manager gave everything to win a cup game away, not worried about relegation or injuries. It seems our fans, manager and players were feeling a bit sorry for themselves and not bothered that we haven't won a trophy for 30 years.
Couldn't care less, mate.
The way it is, Martin.
Honestly couldn't care less. This thing of like, seeing like Carragher, I couldn't care less. I could not care less. That's won't make a difference this season. Won't make a difference this season. Never going to win a trophy The team are shite. That team has got zero chance of getting to Wembley, I'm afraid, and it proved it on Saturday. It does not bother me one bit. They are shite. We have got bigger problems than, oh God, we haven't won a trophy. We're not going to win a trophy this year. I was listening to today, someone winning trophies. Chelsea and Liverpool have got to the Carabao Cup final again. You know, the FA Cup final will be Man City, Liverpool, or Man United.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's or I couldn't care less, honestly.
No, but some people do, and you can't.
But they're having to go. He's having to go with people who don't care.
Yeah, but that's
Couldn't care less.
I just look at it, and my thing is, could these actually win this competition? And the answer's no. And the reason why they can't win it is because they got beat by Luton at home. So if we'd have won, it'd have been great. But then would you have gone, we've got a chance against City? City to come and beat us with the slippers on. Because right now, everything is geared towards staying in the Premier League. Like we said right at the start, had we had the 27 points that we had, it might be slightly different because we'd all be a bit more relaxed. But everything is geared, Martin, towards staying in the league, isn't it? That's just the way it is, isn't it? It's all so frustrating, and everyone is a bit like, what's happening, what's going on? And we need reinforcements.
The point is, right now, to get our club sorted, I don't know if people have got onto this anymore in football, but the chances of clubs like Everton winning trophies are tiny now. So to have this thing of like sitting here like thinking it's a disgrace that your team or your club hasn't won a trophy, you have to like get away from that. Nobody wins trophies by about 3 teams anymore. They really don't. And that is the sad reality of football. So you have to find other things, and
No, but
it's just true.
I know. What I'm saying is,
it's not me being. I'm not making something up there. That's the sad reality of football. And if you are going to do something and you are going to get to the final, everything has to be good.
No, it does. But you have to have match winners in your squad as well. We don't have match winners.
You have to have a team and a club and a manager that is all set up. You have to be in a right place. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not a case of being unhappy. Like, people have got a right to be unhappy walking out the ground, looking at the game. But I'm not unhappy that we've like gone out the FA Cup, because what I'm saying is that everything sort of has to be right. Now, for a club that isn't one of the elite clubs to win something, like Spurs are not in any, by the way, Spurs are not in any cup competitions. But what they have got is the make the most money in London. So that sets them up maybe for next year to get into Europe and stuff. But they're out all the trophies this year.
No.
You know, Arsenal are out the FA Cup, and that's something they would have been looking at.
Out the Carabao Cup.
Out the Carabao. Well, of course they are, because we know they're in the final. What I'm saying is, if you are a club like Everton and you want to get to the final, you have to be in a good place. Your club has to be in a good place. And that's
but you'd also have to have in that squad match winners.
But that's the point, and we don't have them because we're not in a good place. So you have to get your club in a good place first. And that's what I'm bothered about. You have to set the foundations, don't you? You look at someone like Brighton and you go, if I was like Brighton and I got knocked out of the cup, I'd be disappointed, because I'd be thinking, we've got a good chance. If I was Villa, I'd be thinking, we've got a good chance of getting to the final this year. Or even winning it. If I was a Villa or I was a Brighton, if someone's going to upset the elite, it'll be someone like that. So For me, I'm more bothered about getting our football club in the right place first than be worried about being knocked out of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Because the reason why we are where we are is because the club has just been bobbing around from year to year to year without having any kind of strategy, without having any kind of plan, without having knowing what it wants to do. That's what we have to get sorted, because that's the only way. You know, we're competing with teams like Brentford, who are about to buy a kid for 25 million and leave him where he is, which shouldn't be allowed, by the way.
John Vance says the sad reality of football today is that unless Man City have a bad day, nobody will win a trophy, and that includes the current crop of elite clubs.
David, 1995 was 29 years ago. Football has completely moved on.
And also we had
Blackburn won the league that year.
Amakati, Ferguson, we had Anders Limpar, we had a settled squad, we had midfield that wouldn't let you run anywhere without tackling you. We had Graham's. All of these players were just better than what we've got.
You could only have two subs.
It is a different.
It was 29 years ago.
I was thinking that. I was thinking we weren't in a great place, but the thing was, we had a squad that was.
We had a good
don't forget, the next season we finished 6th, and we were Ian Wright might have been a late Arsenal goal from finishing 5th and getting into Europe the next season, and all we've done was we've just bought Andrei Kanchelskis into that same squad. We weren't a bad side.
With Anders. And then we had Kanchelskis, we had Ferguson, we had Ryder, we had Amakati, 3 forwards. We had the midfield with Graham Stewart, who could play in drop off in the 10 and an 8. We had a good side. We had a good side that we had the worst manager of whoever come near Everton. We had a good side that come together. But the point being, that was 29 years ago. Football now is a very, very different thing. 2 subs then. John Ebro couldn't even get on, or 3 subs with the goalie. John Ebro couldn't even get on the bench, the poor lad.
There was no 2 goalies on the bench then, that's for sure.
We live in a very, very different time now, where there's an elitism about our football now.
Look at the cup finals. You know what I mean? You've got to just look at who gets the cup final. Last year, Manchester City, Man United. Year before, Liverpool, Chelsea, but in both cup finals. You know, the Carabao Cup last year. Can't even remember who.
We have to.
But they were top sides.
We have to get our football club sorted. And if we get our football club sorted, then everyone can be. And don't get me wrong, you can be as angry as you want, but it doesn't really register for me, because at the end of the day, I just look at it and I just go, well, in the scale of things that are real problems for Everton right now, it ain't that high on my list, I must admit.
Doesn't mean you didn't want to win.
Yeah, I wanted to win.
You know what I mean? It's just
of course I wanted to win.
It's just that I'm just looking
But I look at the team and go, this team ain't never winning an FA Cup. It's, you know. Last year's Carabao Cup was Man United versus Newcastle.
Yeah, exactly. Newcastle were in the top 4, weren't they? So each year those teams are taking it more serious. Not saying you can't do it. Of course you can win it. Of course you can. But this team, I just don't think is in any position right now to win it. And I would not think these should be able to beat Man City at home in the FA Cup next round like Luton. I just don't. City will go to Luton and beat Luton. They just will. Just the way it is. But that's footy, innit? We have just right now we're in the worst position we've ever been in, because we're in purgatory right now. We've had points taken off us, but at the moment we're in a relegation battle and we've got no owners. But we're just in them. So all of those 3 mixed together in a melting pot has made it really difficult. Anyway, we're going.
Jennifer says, do we think we'll get some points awarded back at an appeal? Yeah, I think we should. I think we will. I think we'll get some. I'm not saying we will, but I think we might. We've got an opportunity. We've got an opportunity with everything going on to get some points back. But we'll find out in about a month.
We will. Right, we're going over to more than a game. It'll be 5 minutes maximum. We'll be over there because we're busy today. But if you want to keep talking footy, the link is there. Come over there.
Probably talk all day, couldn't we? But
yeah, and we'll be back at 5 o'clock on Premier as well with John Blaine's view on all of this. Right, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. See you in a minute on More Than a Game.